The Game Awards have come and gone. Expedition 33 received its flowers. We watched as indie games dominated not only in nominations, but also awards, and we were showered in incredible trailers from the return of Tomb Raider to Larian Studios' next game, Divinity. Man, was that one worth it. Then at the end of the show, Jeff Keighley comes out and really lays it on thick. And he shows us Highguard, a PvP hero shooter. What were they thinking? Especially following the Divinity trailer. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And he had all the fanfare, all the anticipation. Man, did that guy want to make sure he sold that game. It was the last spot of the night, normally where we would typically see a really big heavy hitter, a major reveal, and they just pretended like it was something that we were begging for, all the while showing us something that we've seen a million times by now. The same music, the same slow motion hero animations showing their powers and all of that good stuff. It was just like Concord's trailer in more ways than you actually think, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And I've seen a lot of feedback surrounding this game. People are not very happy. Most people are just kind of sick and tired of a lot of this stuff. I've seen the developers having a really hard time with it on social media. A lot of people also rushing to defend them, trying to create a pillow fort to defend them from all the toxic gamers. You know, it's just the streamers and the YouTubers that are the problem. These aren't real opinions. It's just manufactured hate more than anything else. Not listening to the players. You know, that's worked out a lot for these guys in the past, hasn't it? All they are is just protecting a game that is clearly destined for failure. You have to learn from these lessons. So today, I'm talking about why that is. I'm talking about the fate of this game. I'm talking about all the bad decisions that these guys made up to the release of this game, why this game is such a bad idea, why people hate it, why people are defending it, and why I don't think this is the last time we're going to see it. This video is sponsored by Arknight's Enfield, coming out January 22nd. This is a full 3D real-time strategy action RPG set on Talos 2, mixing fast tactical team combat, factory building and management, and the whole process of exploring and reshaping different regions of a planet in a way that honestly surprised me. You play as the administrator, managing this frontier outpost while you fight, explore, and build. Exploration isn't always safe. You will run into hostile creatures and dangers along the way. That's where your team combat comes in. You can pick from a roster of 24 operators with different classes and different skill types to build the team that you want. Combat plays out in real time, so you're going to be swapping between characters, timing dodges, and leveraging physical statuses and arts afflictions to be able to trigger the best team combos. It's not about button mashing, it's about making your squad work together in a way that feels smooth and controlled. This new beta adds a rebuilt story, updated cutscenes, and a whole new region called Wu Ling. Visually, it's a blend of futuristic tech and Eastern architecture that definitely stood out to me, and as you explore it, you're going to come across new encounters, new stories, and new environmental details that make the whole region feel much more alive. Then there's the AIC factory and blueprint system, which is basically your way of reshaping the world, building automated production lines, upgrading facilities, and expanding your outposts as you explore. It's satisfying, and you get to see your progress reflected in the world. Arknight's Enfield launches on January 22nd, 2026 for PlayStation 5, PC, iOS, and Android, and pre-registration is live right now, so if you want to check it out early, hit the link in the description or the pinned comment. The Game Awards lives and dies by trailers. Every single year it's the same cycle, rumors, wish casting, people convincing themselves that this is finally the night for Bloodborne 2 or Half-Life 3, and because of that, the final trailer carries extra weight. It's supposed to be the big one. Jeff Keighley really leaned into that hard. He reminded everybody that the last slot is saved for something special, teased that this game was being made in secret, and then dropped the pedigree. Former Respawn developers, the people behind Titanfall and Apex Legends, breaking away from AAA. Expectations spiked, the room went dark, the trailer rolled, and what followed was the most aggressively generic reveal we saw the entire night. Highguard is a PvPvE hero-based shooter where you are playing as wardens fighting over territory and raiding enemy strongholds. On paper, honestly, fine, but the problem is that none of that actually comes through in the trailer. What does come through is how completely interchangeable all of this feels. The same abilities, the same pacing, the same presentation that we have seen a dozen times by now. It's pulling straight from the Valorant playbook right down to the silhouettes and the cooldown-driven combat. The character that they led with honestly looks like John video game. Zero identity, zero personality, a lot like the whole game. The entire time that I was watching this trailer, I had this nagging feeling that I had seen this before. Not just like, oh, it's another live service shooter. No, I mean, like, I've literally seen this before. And it didn't click for me until the ice troll slammed into the ground. And then my brain immediately clicked and said, oh no, this is Concord. That is definitely Concord. So I went back and I compared the trailers. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The hero ability introductions are damn near identical. The pacing and the percussion heavy music is just about the same. The rhythm of the cuts, the way the abilities are framed, the timing of, oh, look how cool this character is moments, it all lines up perfectly. If you start splicing the two trailers together, you genuinely start to lose track of which game you're watching unless you're paying close attention. I don't know if they outsource some of the same assets, but you cannot wash the Concord stink off of this thing. I mean, these guys are already falling into the exact same trap that buried Concord. This is a hero shooter with completely unremarkable characters. They're not offensively bad this time. They're not hideous, but they're just safe, polished, inoffensive, and instantly forgettable. Not a single character jumps out at you or makes you say, you know what, I am curious to play them. The abilities are all things that we've seen before. The powers blur together, and yet this trailer has the nerve to say that it is a new breed of shooter when it looks exactly like 10 other games from the past year. And clearly, players are feeling the same way. The reaction online was immediate. People started calling it Concord 2 almost instantly. Others were furious that the game somehow got the final slot of the show. Dead on Arrival has become the default label for the game. IGN's upload is sitting at over 300,000 views right now with over 40,000 dislikes and barely 4,000 likes. The trailer is getting absolutely cooked on social media. Ratioed and reposts, side-by-side comparisons everywhere. Characters are getting dragged for looking like knockoff versions of existing heroes, like the sniper who is basically just a blonde version of Anna from Overwatch. And then you've got Tomb Raider developers that are getting universal praise right now for revealing that they've been working on the game, while Highguard developers are announcing that they can finally talk about theirs, and they are being met with nothing but backlash, to the point that some of them are just straight up going private. So yeah, not a great response, and definitely not the one you're hoping for after spending some serious money on putting your trailer on the biggest stage in the entire industry. The Game Awards now reportedly pulls in more viewers than the Super Bowl, and getting your trailer on the show is not cheap. Anywhere from $450,000 to over $1 million, depending on its length. That's before we factor in how much it costs for them to buy out the final slot of the night, the spot that's reserved for the biggest, most anticipated reveals. That is an insane gamble, and in this case, it is completely blown up in their face. Now, I've heard some people say that the trailer placement is the problem, and sure, I guess kind of. I mean, if this thing had shown up earlier in the night, there wouldn't have been nearly as much anticipation that was riding behind it, and also it probably wouldn't have been directly contrasted to some of the genuinely exciting reveals that we had seen. I mean, how do you follow up that Divinity trailer? But let's be honest here, regardless of where that trailer was placed, it still would have been just as forgettable. The backlash here is not some mystery puzzle that the internet needs to solve. The biggest issue that we have is the expectations that this studio set for themselves. This is supposed to be an independent studio, a breakaway team, former EA employees, more importantly, former Titanfall developers branching off to go and do their own thing. And what do they come back with? The safest, most corporate thing imaginable. The kind of live service hero shooter that we have come to expect from moronic and repetitive AAA publishers following the tail of everyone else, not from a studio that escaped that system. And that's the part that makes no sense to me. And this is likely what pissed people off the most. You escaped. You are free. You're supposed to be the ones that are making games for us, not for the fucking machine. Why wouldn't you make something actually different? Something that players clearly want. You fly the flag of Titanfall for the reputation it gives you, but not for the meaning behind it. The audience behind that game did not disappear. It's been ignored. You know what? Who am I kidding? Of course, the only person that clearly sees that need is some random solo developer that's making a diesel punk mech shooter off of Kickstarter money and a YouTube channel. Seriously, go check out Diesel Nights. That guy actually gets us. I went back and actually watched his trailer after watching the Highguard reveal, and it is night and day. It's so distinct, it's so messy and unrefined and raw, and it just feels human. And watching that back just made it even more obvious how few people in this industry genuinely understand the art anymore, or even the audience that they're supposed to be making games for. Highguard takes absolutely no creative risks, none at all. The only thing that they're doing is just gambling with their own financial security at this point. This thing plays it as safe as humanly possible. It's just another PvPvE live service game wearing the skin of past achievements, trading almost entirely on, hey, remember what we used to work on? And it's like I said before when we first saw Concord. when a game introduces itself as from the former developers of, especially from studios like Bungie, Activision, or EA, that's basically become a red flag for me. Not always. There are some outliers. Embark Studios is an obvious one. But more often than not, there is a reason that they are former developers. And in this case, they couldn't even spot the warning signs in their own game, let alone stay in step with what players are actually into right now, or even learn from the pile of failed live service launches that we've already seen just this year. Honestly, the only real risks that this studio took were all the wrong ones. They spent 4 years developing this game in total secret. No early footage, no tests, no public feedback, nothing. If they had shown anything earlier, and I mean anything, they could have gauged player reaction and course corrected. Instead, they went all in on blind confidence, dropped a reveal trailer, and then just announced a full release barely a month out, putting themselves in a completely unnecessary do or die situation. And I'm telling you right now, if you are making a live service game, you have to involve the audience as early as possible. You cannot afford to spend years and millions of dollars building something just to find out at the very end that nobody wants it. I mean, Arc Raiders did multiple closed alphas. They ran a beta well before the game even came out. Hell, even Marathon is out here involving players and has made visible changes based on their feedback. When I see studios that are skipping that step entirely, especially in live service, it tells me exactly who this game is being made for, and it's not the players. I realize that the developers for Highguard are likely combing social media right now, looking for feedback. That's a little bit too late, seeing as though your game's going to be coming out a month from now. Looking at social media posts, obviously, because they're probably a little bit too difficult to ignore at this point. And I hope you're listening right now. This is the feedback. This is the frustration of a real customer. Somebody that was a fan of Titanfall. I want you to know that the expectations set upon you are higher than that than AAA games. We don't expect shit from them anymore. We do expect more from you, somebody that escaped that. We expect that you're going to be trying to make something that we're going to actually want. We're expecting more from your freedom to create, not from you just to go and make more of the same. If you're trying to figure out why people are so upset, why they're so quick to just toss your game to the side, that's exactly why. We know that AAA game studios are not looking out for our best interests. We know that they're not trying to make games for us. They're just trying to make games for profit. We have the expectation that those that are operating outside of that system are looking out for our best interests, that are trying to make games that we actually want to play, that are trying to do everything they possibly can. We need that light. We need that because it's our last thread of trust that a lot of people have in this industry right now. And if you betray that, that is a very real betrayal, especially in the eyes of a lot of players right now. And if we start seeing a lot of studios that break off from AAA just to go out and essentially continue to just feed the same system, well, you're now betraying the trust that other studios deserve. How did you think that these Temu designs would somehow draw in players? I'm blown away by that. How do you not learn from any of the live service failures that we've seen, not only just this year, but just over the past 5 years? And how do you guys go into secrecy, developing a game for 4 years, and then just drop it into the market and hope it succeeds? You know, this reminds me of Splitgate. Yeah, it reminds me of Splitgate. They had a really cool concept. They had their, arena shooter. People really enjoyed it. And then these guys sold out and wanted to be just like AAA, killed their original game, and then went and made a live service battle royale. We know what you're doing. We know what you want. We can smell you a mile away. We don't want to have anything to do with it. I've seen a lot of people already rushing to come and defend this developer and all the different developers that are working for them, trying to say that it's all fake outrage. It's just streamers and YouTubers that are feeding people their opinions, based, by the way, as long as you're getting those opinions from the right people. That it's all just hate for the sake of hate. And what that ignores is that this outrage, or maybe not the outrage itself, but the frustration is not manufactured. It's not artificial. It is very real, and you have to be listening to it. And if this industry continues to dismiss it, if people continue to protect these developers, we're going to keep seeing this happen over and over again. And I think that's going to keep happening. It's actually kind of wild right now looking around and seeing that most of games media is more or less in agreement on this, not defending the game, not running interference, just documenting what's happening. And honestly, that is refreshing. It feels like a rare moment where this industry is starting to remember who it actually serves, the players, not itself. But on social media, it is a completely different story. You have people that are rushing to gas up these developers, telling them to just ignore the criticism, dismissing all the backlash outright. And once again, this feels eerily similar to Concord. I really started to notice it when I saw a post from one of the developers who had gone protected, constantly retweeting praise, amplifying a handful of positive takes, feeding into this idea that the outrage isn't real, that people just need to calm down, stop reacting, and that none of this is justified. And then you got a handful of pundits that are out there that are piling on, openly patronizing players for just having opinions. One example that really stuck out to me was a former IGN writer, Fran Mirabella, who had posted a video criticizing the reaction to Highguard, first writing an opening saying, "Unscripted vent, exhausted by predictable drama gamer reactions over Highguard. You gotta be pretty dumb to compare this to Concord and think that the gameplay is anything like it. Can we go back to playing games before we place 50-50 bets on their doom and trashing the artist's vision?"
My favorite part about this Highguard stuff is that everybody talking about this nonsense with Concord has clearly never played Concord and doesn't even understand the gameplay that they're seeing. There's a bit of hyperbole there. People are just overreacting, but nobody played Concord, right? I did, by the way. But now they just want to listen to their favorite streamers and whine about, "Oh man, this looks like trash, bro. It looks so unoriginal." What are you talking about? Yes, I definitely think you can see a lot of these Apex inspirations and all that stuff, but this is clearly, a PvP game with these PvE elements, right? You've got all of these PvE elements going on, and it looks like what it's going to be, right? You can have these PvP clash points, you're trying to make it to the end, but you're doing stuff blowing up buildings, setting off reactors. You have powers where you're smashing through stuff. You've got to get keys maybe to get through next sections. It's not a bad idea. So I don't know what everybody's whining about without playing it, but I'm just so exhausted with, that part of the gaming discussion at this point. It's ridiculous, man. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but maybe we should play it and hear about people playing it first before we start calling it Concord. And again, you got to be pretty dumb if you think that this game is anything like the gameplay in Concord.
I love how fast all criticism gets dismissed. Not just the trailer, but the audience itself. Just blame the streamers, blame the YouTubers. Problem solved. And also, no shit, the people that are comparing the game to Concord never played Concord. Nobody played that game. Less than 25,000 people even bought it, and it was shut down in under a week. That should have been the lesson right there. When players decide that they don't like what they're seeing, they just don't show up. They didn't give Concord a chance, and if they're reacting the exact same way right now, the ending is already written unless you change it. And nobody played Concord. I did, by the way. What a line that is. Incredibly pretentious, by the way. As if that gives you any higher understanding of the reveal. This is a criticism about what was shown. And instead of just dealing with that, you immediately start jumping to talking about mechanics that the trailer never even explained. Keys, PvE systems, clash points, stuff that you're just filling in yourself because you feel like it needs to be there to be able to justify your point. Then you turn around and tell the players that they need to wait and give the game a chance? No, we don't need to wait. This was the chance. This was the moment where you got to show the people what the game was, and they honestly reacted in the way that you saw, and treating that reaction like anything else, treating it like it's illegitimate in some way, is exactly how we get games like Concord. Game developers, if you are watching this right now, do not under any circumstances ever listen to people like this. Do not listen to the people that are trying to protect you. Listen to the people that are trying to criticize you. Gamers do not always articulate their criticisms well. Sometimes it's going to come out cynical, hostile, even ugly at times, but it is your job to extract the signal from the noise instead of getting offended by it. I'm going to hit you guys with some pretty heavy truth. You are not just making art, you are making consumer products, something that is meant to be sold, played, monetized, and sustained. When feedback at this scale is so overwhelmingly negative, people that are telling you that it's fine or that the players are wrong are not helping you. They're not trying to save your studio. They are setting you up for failure. The people that are rushing to defend you right now are not doing it because they care about your games. They are doing it because it makes them feel better, because it feeds their sense of moral superiority. You can hear the contempt in the way that these people are saying they are sick of the outrage, or the way that they blame it on content creators instead of just engaging with the criticism itself. That is pure dismissal, and it is something that we have seen over and over again in this industry. Content creators do not create taste. We do not manufacture opinions. We amplify what is already there. We are a lightning rod for public sentiment, not a source of it. And this idea is especially common in games journalism that outrage content is what makes people popular. It's just wrong. It always has been. That stuff never lasts. I do not tell people what to think. People do not take my word as gospel. They watch because something I am saying is lining up with what they already feel. That resonance is what creates that audience. Not manipulation, not outrage farming, just recognition. And pretending otherwise is a convenient way for you to avoid dealing with why so many people are reacting the same way at the same time. This is just what modern customer feedback looks like. It's loud, it's messy, it's uncomfortable, and if you don't learn how to deal with it honestly, if you hide from it, or if you just let other people explain it away for you, your game is going to fail and your studio is going to follow. The real danger here is not the players, it's listening to platforms and pundits that do not carry any of the risk, that don't ship the game, that don't rely on the retention, that don't eat the consequences when the players walk away. And we already have the evidence of this. There is a growing pile of failed games and shuttered studios that followed that exact advice, ignoring the backlash, dismissing the criticism, trusting these narrative managers instead of the audience. These people that gave the advice, they're just fine. The studios weren't. So if you're a developer right now, understand this clearly. Listening to players might be uncomfortable, but listening to pundits who do not suffer from your game's fallout is how your games die. I've talked about this in a lot of other videos, but live service right now is an incredibly dangerous space to step into. I understand why studios are chasing it, the money, the visibility, the upside when it all works, but as this industry continues to get more crowded, as more teams step in to keep copy and pasting the same designs, as attention and spending get tighter, these games are going to come under harsher and harsher scrutiny and far more visceral backlash, and these guys are earning it. We have watched this exact thing happen in open world games. They were sold as the future of the industry. Every single publisher needed to have one. Then everyone also needed to have several of them at one point in time for some odd reason. And over time, the ideas dried up. The worlds got bigger than the actual games deserved. Everything started to just feel like busy work, and players just checked out of it entirely. Not because open worlds were bad, but because the industry wouldn't stop flooding the market with hollow versions of the exact same thing. That's where live service is right now. Players are tired. Yes, there are successes. I'm not denying that. Marvel Rivals, Arc Raiders, Battlefield 6, but look at where most players are spending their time right now. Older games, familiar games, things that they can trust, because the rest of the market is just imitation piled on top of imitation, and players can tell when something is actually being made out of the love for the genre or the audience. They know when that game is being made for their wallet, and once they clock that, they're gone. There is such an insane desire for players to be wrong today, and I find it so disgusting because it's coming from a place of pure entitlement and narcissism from an industry that has largely not had to deal with feedback or pushback at this scale. And I've seen people talk about how gaming discourse never used to be like this, that it's all just Twitch streamers and YouTubers. That is such a lie. I worked at GameStop many years ago for like 4 years. I can guarantee you that these conversations have always been happening. They were just happening in private conversation and also in forums. But now, they're on a public stage. They're plastered in front of everyone in glorious harmony and unison. And these guys just don't know how to be able to deal with that. You have to understand that players today will do anything they possibly can. They will say anything they can to make sure that the games they want to play come out, and the games that they don't want to play disappear. I do my best to try to communicate in these videos that any of the topics that I discuss, or how I even discuss them, is never coming from a place of spite, usually. What I'm trying to do is make sure that the games industry understands this is just the nature of discourse today. This is the nature of customer discourse today. And they have to get it through their thick skulls that you need to be able to just face this, understand it, listen to it, and then turn that into valuable feedback for you to be able to make games that people actually want to play. These are consumer products. If you're trying to make these things for just the sake of the art, that's fine. Don't expect to be able to make a profit off of it. I'm not saying that the art can't exist. Obviously, I want the art to exist. I'm somebody that appreciates the art side of a lot of these games, but if you're just purely making it for the art, do not expect to make a profit. And definitely do not prop it up with a live service model where you need constant engagement for your game to be able to stay up and for your studio to be able to stay open. I'm sorry, but looking at a game like, I almost said Concord, looking at a game like Highguard, They sound the same. That is a game that's being made for profit. Pure and simple. Everybody can see it. You do not make a free-to-play game if that's not your aim. Everybody knows that. And artistry is definitely not the aim for these guys. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made the characters look like they do. So I don't know what you're talking about there. My best advice for Highguard is when this game goes to its release, make that a beta instead, and then push the release indefinitely until you can get a handle on what player feedback is, on what players are actually looking for, until you can actually get some heroes that people are actually going to be interested in. Now, I could be wrong. For some odd reason, this could come to release and it ends up being the best game ever because these guys just somehow found the perfect mix of mechanics and gameplay, I guess. I'm not really too sure, but looking at the state of the discourse, the feeling that I got from watching that trailer, this is looking like another game where I'm going to make more money off of it than the game is. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video with game developers. No, I'm kidding. I mean, you can, just don't be malicious about it. Well, maybe a little bit. Thank you guys for watching. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Kick. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Family, 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 family.